Hey everybody, Rob Ferrari here with my '04 Ferrari 360. I bought this car because it was a fairly good value. There was a guy, it was a one-owner car, super clean. It had some miles on it, but the same guy owned it, bought it from the dealership, always serviced it at the dealership, kept it completely stock. I know I haven't put the exhaust on it yet. I'll get around to it. It didn't come with the brackets and everything like that, and it's just a pain in the ass to find them. So, frankly, it hasn't been the top of my priority list. But now that I've owned this for almost 2.5 years, we're going back to 2013. In June is when I actually bought this car. I can tell you a little bit about it and what it actually costs to own and maintain a Ferrari. And the good thing about me is I actually drive the cars. So this car has seen, I don't know how much, but figure 8,000 miles in the 2 years that I've owned it. So 4,000 miles a year for a guy with a lot of cars is actually not that bad. So here are the bills that I've got, and they're a little skewed because I had to put a clutch in. I bought it because it needed a clutch. So I sent this car out to get a clutch job, and I'm not going to count any of the body work or like the refinishing of the rims or anything like that as far as maintenance costs, because that's variable. That happens from driving and not necessarily what car it is. It can happen to any car. So this car, when I first got it, required a clutch. The parts on that were about $1,034, which is actually very reasonable for a clutch. Throwout bearing and labor, all of that together, came to about $2,500 for the clutch to get this car up and running from the beginning. From there, so we're at $2,500 right off the bat before I drove it. On top of that, I paid $300 to have it towed from the guy in Pennsylvania who did the work, so we're at $2,800. $91 for the air vent up here popped out. I stuck another one in there, so we're at $2,900. And it was a while before I really had to do much beyond that. It may have had a battery. I don't have an invoice for the battery, so if it was $200. Let's just assume it had one. There we go. We pumped our way up to $3,100. It wasn't until, we had a check engine light. I remember that update. That check engine light was the O2 sensor, and that one cost $249. So here we are, we're at $249 total labor to get this car up and running. It had no problems. I'm not going to count the radio I also swapped into it until it just started leaking oil on the floor recently. Oil on the floor. That's what I'm used to with Ferraris, so it wasn't a big surprise. So there was oil all over the place. There was oil on the drip tray and everything underneath the engine. It turned out to be the valve cover gasket on the front of the car was leaking. So I was like, all right, get the valve cover gasket. Well, you're in there. Why don't you do the major service? Ooh, major service. Big scary thing with 360s and 355s and whatnot. I decided to go with the major service anyway, and the major service was actually incredibly reasonable. Everybody likes to blow it out of proportion. I have the total invoice here for all the parts, and actually more than that. I didn't do the spark plugs, because who needs to change the frickin' spark plugs? It came out about $4,500 with labor, and I'm saying that because I changed also the front and rear brakes, pads and rotors, which was about $2,500 of it. So about $2,000 with labor was the major service. So everybody that tries to scare you and saying, oh, these big major services, worry, 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 you don't really have to worry, because $4,500 plus $3,500, it cost me about $8,000 total. Yeah, that's right. $8,000 total in 2.5 years to drive this, enjoy it, maintain it completely, and I don't know, it's cool. It's a red Ferrari, doesn't really lose value, and it's cost me about, if you average that out, $2,700 a year, $3,000 a year in maintenance expense, including new brakes all the way around, new factory brakes from the dealership all the way around, pads and rotors. It cost me about $8,000, and that's not something you would normally have to do very often, but the car has 50,000 miles on it, so it was about time to do them anyway. So there you have it. Ferrari update, eventually started leaking oil, otherwise it's been pretty bulletproof. This car has been to a lot of places. I brought it down to Key West, which was fun. I brought it around the Hershey, the DC trip. I did that with it. It came on adventure drives this year. So the car has seen the better part of the country, and it's been pretty reliable through Death Valley on the racetrack. No complaints. That's why I got a second one in the convertible, because why have one when you can have two at twice the price? There's your maintenance expenses. Thank you for watching, guys. Another Ferrari update when something else starts leaking out of it, or whatever, when something happens. Thank you for watching.